Hey, welcome. Today we're going to tackle an idea that sounds simple but is honestly pretty revolutionary. What if happiness isn't something you just find? What if it's something you can build day by day like a muscle? So, yeah, let's dive in and see how we can actually start training for it.
So let me ask you something straight up. Do you think of happiness as some kind of finish line? You know that feeling, I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I move, when. Well, today we're going to completely flip that idea on its head.
And this is the big shift right here. On one hand, you've got the old way of thinking. Happiness is a destination, a place you arrive at. But on the other hand, there's this new, science-backed idea. Happiness is a skill, a competence. It's something you can practice and get better at.
Okay, so how in the world does this training actually work? And look, we're not just talking about some abstract philosophy here. This is all grounded in the real, concrete science of how our own brains are wired. So let's get into the science of it.
It all boils down to this really cool word, neuroplasticity. It's a fancy way of saying our brain isn't set in stone. It can literally change. It can rewire itself and create new pathways based on what we do and think over and over again. This is the biological magic that makes training for happiness even possible. And this image, well, it kind of visualizes it perfectly. Every single time you make a conscious choice, like practicing a little gratitude or just being fully present, you are literally physically building a stronger, more flexible, and more resilient brain.
And then, of course, there's the brain chemistry. When we do things that cultivate positive emotions, like genuinely thanking someone or connecting with a friend, we're actually strengthening the brain circuits for feel-good chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin. You're basically training your brain to get better at feeling good.
All right, so we've covered the why and the how from a science perspective, but what does this look like in real life? Let's break down the practical structure for this training, which is built on 4 really solid pillars. Yep, that's it. Just 4. 4 key areas to focus our daily practice on. If we can do that, we can start to build a really intentional and lasting sense of well-being. First up, we've got Pillar 1, more us. This is all about our relationships, connection, kindness, empathy. It's no secret we're social creatures, right? Our well-being is so deeply connected to the people around us. Pillar number 2 is more positive chemistry. So here the goal is to actively, intentionally look for emotions like gratitude, joy, and hope. It's all about training ourselves to notice and really soak in the good that's already in our lives. The third pillar is more being. This one is all about mindfulness, being present right here, right now. It's about being authentic, actually listening to yourself, and trying to live a little less on that autopilot we all get stuck in. And finally, number 4, more discipline. Now, wait, don't let that word scare you. This isn't about being super rigid or hard on yourself. It's about building positive habits and routines that actually support you. Things like good sleep, moving your body, and just making conscious choices every day. Okay, so we know the pillars, but how do we actually start the workout? Well, the simplest way is just by asking ourselves a few questions. Little daily questions that point our brain in the right direction. Let's try a few out. Let's start with that positive chemistry pillar. How do we start generating more of those good feelings on purpose? The beauty of this is in its simplicity. Just pause for a second. Seriously, right now. Can you think of one small thing you're grateful for? The simple act of looking for it is what starts to change your brain chemistry. Here's another really powerful one. Just think back to a time recently when you had one of those real belly laughs. The kind where you can't breathe. Just remembering it can reactivate those same positive feelings in your body. It's like a free happiness hit. All right, now let's shift gears over to the pillar of relationships, more us.
The power of this question is that it's so concrete and actionable. It doesn't have to be some grand gesture. It could be a quick text to a friend, buying a coffee for the person behind you, a genuine compliment. We think of kindness as being for the other person, but honestly, the giver often gets the biggest boost. And that brings us to the pillar of being present and aware. More being. This question is like an invitation to become a detective in your own life. When do you completely lose track of time? What activities make you feel totally absorbed in the moment? Just figuring that out is the first step to creating more of those moments. So as you can see, this isn't about some massive overnight transformation. It's all about small daily choices.
Well-being isn't this one-time event. It's a process. It's a choice that we get to make again and again, every single day. And this quote, man, it just nails it. Real, lasting happiness, it comes from coherence. It's when what you think, what you feel, and what you actually do are all pointing in the same direction. It's about living in sync with yourself. And with that, we turn it back to you, because this is probably the most important question of all, and it's the one we want to leave you with. There's no right answer here, so just take a moment and ask yourself, what is my personal definition of happiness? You don't have to wait for the perfect moment, for Monday, for the new year. Your journey towards a more intentional life can literally start right now with one small question, one tiny action. So go on, start your training today. Thanks for joining me.